You to kick us off? You'd like me to, Mr. Mayor? It's your mouth button.
I don't have a script, so.
Yeah, there's no script. All right, so I'll kick us off then. Thanks, council members. We've got everybody but Deb here. She wasn't able to get off work till 5. We also have a hard stop at 5 o'clock because all this technology has to be set up over there for the council meeting. So the goal here is to get through chapters 6 through 12. 12 is the implementation table of the comp plan suggested edits. About 5 weeks ago, I reached out to all of you. I had 3 or 4 of you get back to me with suggested edits. That presumably meant that the others who didn't reply were okay with the draft as it was. Just a little background, the draft that we currently have in print was the draft from December 2023. It was brought to council in a December meeting. At the time, the public was asking us to postpone the adoption of the final draft so that the new council and mayor could have their input. We then had 3 joint workshops with planning and zoning. We made it through chapters 1 through 5. We had about 6 pages of suggested edits at that point. The mayor asked me to come up with a means to kind of accelerate the review of the last 6 chapters. So that's how we got to this point. The goal here is to go through the suggested edits. I was informed by legal that anything, not the word substantive, what was the other word? Material changes would be required to be sent back to planning and zoning for review. So I asked you to kind of try to limit the scope of your suggested changes to less substantive, less material changes, more just, refining the language that was already in the draft comp plan. And for the most part, that's what we ended up with. It was pretty easy to implement the suggested changes. So I'm going to share my screen here in a minute, and you're going to see the changes in basically ordinance form. Like if we were going to amend an ordinance, I've underlined and bolded the suggestions and crossed out the suggestions that are being removed and underlined and bolded the suggestions that are being made. So we'll start at chapter 6. If you have the document open in front of you, I recommend that. Otherwise, I'll kind of have a split screen here and we can see it on one side as we go through the recommended edits. So Melissa, would it be easy to make this? We just try to, I think I can just, yeah, it's a little better. This is big as we can get it. That's not all that big, but I did share actually the document is in the agenda online for this meeting, so you could open up the document. I haven't made any changes except I'll show you the one. Oh, I have added Deb's comments. Deb sent me her comments on the revisions. So on the one in front of me, I have Deb's comments annotated on the side. So I'll share those as we get to them. Okay. Okay, let's start at chapter 6. I'm going to go down to page 66, which is the first page where there was a recommended edit. So the third paragraph on page 66 is what we're looking at here. If you want to reference the screen, and I will go to the suggested edit. So we had the suggestion, revise paragraph 3 to Highway 2 has many access points in the form of wide driveways and intersections that are often confusing and unsafe. Proposed improvements include limiting many of these driveways to be right in, right out only, and reconfiguring intersections to allow for better safety for auto traffic as well as pedestrians. The suggested edit was to add the language, in the long run, the city supports exploring the feasibility of a western bypass for Highway 2. Do we have any feedback on that?
I had in my notes that was to be added to the second paragraph, the east-west routes, because the alternative would be the east-west connection, right?
East-west routes through downtown are heavily traveled and making sure they're efficient and safe for all users and critical to maintaining to a livable city. The multimodal transportation stand provides concepts for improvements at the intersections of First Avenue and Superior Street, First Avenue and Pine Street. So you're saying just add that to the end of paragraph 2?
Yeah.
And it's mine, and I don't care where it goes as long as it's in.
Okay.
I think it pertains more to paragraph 2, but I'm not gonna die on that hill.
I'm dying here.
Okay. Are we okay with leaving it in paragraph 3? Okay. All right, let's go to the next suggested edit, page 68. Scroll down. This is going to be goal 1, objective A. Okay, there's some language suggested language changes here. Enhance access to businesses, shops, restaurants, and other destinations through, and the current language is on-street parking, a sufficient supply of car and bike parking, parking management solutions, and convenient accessible parking areas. The suggested edit is to cross that out and replace it with parking management solutions, ensuring convenient accessible parking areas for cars and bicycles. Seems like just kind of a clarification or simplification of the language there.
That's fine.
I think it's an improvement.
I'm good.
Good with it?
Okay. Let's go on to page 68, goal 1B. There's only an addition here, no subtraction. So the proposed addition would add, so it says improve, enhance safety and traffic circulation to preserve an acceptable level of service at intersections. And then the addition would add without jeopardizing pedestrian safety.
Mhm.
We know can be a trade-off between vehicle level of service and pedestrian safety. So this is a pretty straightforward addition. Pretty okay with that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. We are now on page 68, goal 1E. All right, there's a more substantial change here. So the current language is limit the number of approaches onto collectors and arterials to minimize safety conflicts between pedestrians, bicyclists, and cars and trucks, and preserve the function of the multimodal corridor. The revision would change that to balance the benefits of a limited number of approaches onto arterials with the benefits of gridded streets. And Zach, chime in if you think any of these are material changes. Okay.
That was actually discussed in the meeting with planning and zoning present.
Everybody like that suggested change? Mr. Mayor?
I do.
Okay. And we will keep moving. I like the pace we're going here. Goal 68-1, goal 1F. The suggestion is to remove it completely. That goal is to continue to require compliance with roadway access management standards as part of the development review process.
Well, in its absence, we still have the code until we change that code.
We have to do it anyway.
That was the discussion. Yeah, I'm trying to remember because that was a couple months ago.
Okay. So are we okay just removing that goal? Okay.
Yeah.
Goal G, same, objective G, goal 1 is I think this was Pam's suggestion, just adding the language, replacing existing lights with LEDs whenever possible.
Okay, I just had a question about what's whenever possible. I think they should always, when they're worn out, they should always be replaced with LEDs.
There's a bigger challenge that we actually haven't fixed yet, which is the color temperature of the LEDs, Pam, can be vastly different. In front of the infamous barber shop on, what is that, Main? Right,
Yep.
that LED, next time it's dark out. That one is an LED, the historic street lamp, and its color and intensity are much different, the soft kind of orange. So just take a look at that next time you see it before we.
All right.
Don't know all the limitations on LEDs and color temperatures and intensity, but. Cause me to pause.
Okay, I just don't want it to be an excuse to
Yeah.
not use LEDs.
Yeah, or does it have to be LED? Can it just be some energy efficient as well as complying with?
How about,
Skies.
yeah,
Or
say the
something
highest,
like that?
highest energy efficient.
Yeah.
lights.
And then do we want to put something in there about complying with the color or the dark skies?
We do have something similar about
Is that?
enforcing.
that.
It might be a little different about enforcing.
So can we replace LEDs with like the most energy efficient lighting solutions available?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They really should be like the yellowy, just again for insects because of pollinators that are attracted to the brighter. I just want to make sure they're
Yeah,
the
we
right.
can adopt a standard and code.
Okay, we're on to page 69. Goal 3D, the existing languages provide and maintain adequate compliant street signage to improve safety and mobility. Right place here, yeah. Wait, I'm sorry, I'm on the wrong
Article 3D.
page 69, that was goal 4. So goal 3, add a goal 3D. This is vibrant pedestrian friendly downtown. And the goal is around accessible parking. So the goal D would say, oh, there's actually a D and a D proposed. Explore parking options at the entrances to town. Encouraging efforts to reduce car dependence such as ride sharing and bike share programs. Great goal. Any objection? Okay, and in addition, yeah,
Just a quick question. What do we do with our elderly population that can't participate in that, needs to be close?
Mhm.
I mean, it feels like we're kind of segregating them and saying, good luck.
Mhm.
It's the intent.
No, I think
I
as
don't
this,
think it's
this
like
reads, this would just give us the options for. Chair.
Doesn't say
It
everybody
doesn't,
has to.
wouldn't force us to eliminate it.
Isn't it true that if you're setting a goal, that's what you're calling it? Right? Doesn't, we're not forced to do it, but it's an aspirational goal that says, okay, we're gonna go take some actions to try and deliver to this, right? So even though we don't have to, once it's out and the city sees it or citizens see it, they're gonna be expecting something to happen there. So just as we think about, I know we want to make it a walking town. It's got to be accessible to all of our citizens. So just as we think about that, let's keep that in mind.
Yeah. Mr. Mayor, would that be reducing parking downtown or just
Just says,
encouraging more? Because it may possibly open up more parking. As long as we don't take parking away, just a thought,
It could,
but we
That's
don't.
exactly what I
Yeah,
was gonna say.
okay.
I doubt it. There's
Right, I know, yeah.
not enough down there.
Yeah.
Anyway, but
so if you wanted to add something about with elderly or physically challenged in
Say
mind,
ADA compliance,
yeah,
right?
okay,
and I'm not sure it's even ADA,
well, for the elderly, but for the. and
certainly for
physically-
ADA, but you've got,
So more of a
That doesn't say take it out.
generational parking.
yes, as I'm
Right.
getting closer to that generation.
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I get what you're saying here.
I think what we're trying to do is just limit some of the traffic. It's downtown if they don't.
So what if I added the language, while considering the needs of the elderly and disabled populations for accessible parking close to downtown businesses?
I'm good with that.
All right, there's an additional goal E proposed, implement wayfinding and placemaking signage at parking lots to direct visitors to key shopping and dining areas within Sandpoint's commercial center.
I love it.
Love it, yeah.
Great, yeah. Okay, 69 goal 4 E. Currently it says ensure the transportation projects include measures such as native
And it's
Oh,
just,
no.
I think, language.
revised to, okay, yeah. Ensure that transportation projects include measures such as native plantings and landscapings, use of green stormwater infrastructure, and then a new addition to that, and efforts to reduce carbon emissions.
Can you just educate me on what that,
I am not exactly sure what that would be. It could encompass a lot of things. I was thinking of that as I read that myself, because that is, I think, mine. Or somebody asked me to put that in, one of the public. Sorry, ensure the transportation projects efforts to reduce carbon emissions. Well, what does anybody think that was not, I added that, but somebody asked me to.
I would say take out efforts and considerations and replace it with considerations.
And considerations.
because aren't by default plantings, carbon reducers,
Yeah, but that's just one.
one type, like.
Yeah, I mean. Solution that we're after there though?
I know low carbon concrete is a big deal now. It's like certified, it comes from a plant. Green concrete. I mean, that might be an example of something.
And it might be things too, like not putting a stoplight where you're idling somewhere. That isn't need to be. I'm just thinking Things
Stop light
that-
or stop sign?
either, or.
Like your edit, just.
I mean, if you have to idle a lot, you're emitting carbon. I don't know, I'm just trying to think of that. Like I said, somebody had that,
There we
they
go.
requested.
That's better, isn't it, Justin?
I got to think.
I just maximized it. Okay, so are we okay with we'll
did
change
you
their
do?
considerations for reducing carbon emissions.
Certainly.
All right, goals, page 70. Let's go
Wordsmith.
to page 70. Pretty good at wordsmithing.
Mhm.
Goal 6, that's around transit and passenger rail. The suggestion is to add an objective F which would say evaluate opportunities for development of electric vehicle charging infrastructure to make Sandpoint an attractive destination for EV owners.
Fine, it's actually already underway.
Yeah.
Seems like it doesn't fit under transit passenger rail, but.
Yeah, you're kind of right. It's not really transit passenger rail related. Is there another a goal that would fit
Passenger
better
rail.
under?
So in passenger rail at one point too, I wanted, I thought it might be nice to have a bike share at the railroad, especially if we're gonna get more routes, if that was something that I think you talked about, the
Yeah.
train coming more, that's an option. I was thinking in there to put,
Well, we have that. as
at a
B.
bike share at
We
the
have that right
railroad.
there. Through pedestrian, bicycle and transit access to and from passenger rail station.
Okay, all right.
That this might be better
Where
under
else would that
goal
go?
8, actually,
8?
inspire innovation and cooperation.
Yep.
But I might suggest we add the EV charging to goal 8.
Okay.
Yeah. So we just take a quick note here. That's page 71.
So I'm done on it.
So change that to goal 8. E. Or goal 8F.
Yeah.
That'll be a
He is right on.
that'll be a new objective. Okay.
Okay.
All right, are we ready to move on to chapter 7? Parks, recreation and trails. Let's go to page 74.
Can we go back to page 71?
Sure.
Goal 8C.
C, support and assist the Idaho Transportation Department in setting project priorities and planning and designing improvements and maintaining regional and local highways.
Strikes me that we may not, in a recent past, we didn't necessarily support. Support seems like a pretty strong word there. I'd be more comfortable with something like work with,
Coordinate with.
coordinate or work with.
Yeah,
Good idea.
Support almost seems like
Yeah,
we're
we
gonna be saying that we love
no matter what they say, we're gonna be
Everything, right.
cheerleaders.
Six
for it,
lanes
right?
and
No,
50 miles
No,
an
that's
hour.
a good-
coordinate with them in setting project priorities.
So this is goal 8C, right?
Yeah.
Coordinate, say that again.
Instead of strike support,
Coordinate with
Coordinate
Idaho
with-
Transportation Department and
So how about just, and get rid of assist as
Yeah.
well,
steady.
Yeah.
support and
Yeah.
assist.
Okay, I'll just leave it at that.
thank you.
Somebody did say on page 73, I don't know if that was changed, that they wanted open space in there. I think that's language somewhere else. Titled Parks
Yeah, somebody asked me,
Recreation.
that came up this week in
Did it?
Legal Parks and Rec Department. We don't have a.
A few years ago, there was talk of like changing it to Parks Rec and open space, but I don't think it was ever formally adopted. We don't even have a Parks and Rec department, Mr. Mayor. We have a CPD department. We have a Parks team and a rec team within the CPD department right now.
Right.
Because
So-
somebody had that, it's on the next page, so it says the city's parks,
Mhm.
open space. City's Parks,
Open Space
Recreation and Open
Division.
Space Division, and they wanted to put open space for recreation on that as well. And I'm not sure.
I would always say we should strike
Yeah,
open
we're gonna
space from
do
that.
Okay,
It's not formalized.
yeah, they should just agree, I think.
This was an update I added because since this was drafted year and a half or two ago, some of these plans have have actually been completed. So first paragraph on page 74 said, a watershed recreation master plan for this property is currently being developed to balance the needs of the many users while safeguarding water quality. It's been now updated to, in 2023, a watershed recreation plan was adopted, which balances the needs of many users with safeguarding water quality.
Yep.
And then delete the sentence when completed. Yeah, okay.
That next paragraph, I would just suggest that we take out open space.
In there as well.
Just Parks and Rec.
I'd like open space.
Yeah, but technically,
I-
the utility owns the watershed. Utility owns Baldwood.
About, Nick,
That.
It's actually just the trailhead is city, the trail itself above
Right.
the parking. That the access is Forest Service.
right, yeah, there's the fence there,
Yeah.
but. It is open space.
Yeah, you're right.
Is that also?
Okay, a
That's
little
not, is it utility as well, is it? Cause there is a water.
We
crossing.
We do have plenty of open space that we manage as the city,
Yeah.
including the entire watershed.
Yes.
But
Oh, yeah.
we just don't call it the open spaces division. And I remember like under Kim 4 years ago, there was talk of officially changing the name to the open space division. That's probably how it ended up in this draft, because this draft was started during that period where we were talking about that.
Sure.
It's just, we don't even have a Parks and Rec department
Right.
anymore. It's now the CPD.
Somebody must have seen that
Yeah.
because that was a public comment also.
Even your legend right there calls it open space too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that needs to change too. So you have to get that out of there as well.
I can just take a note that we should check this, check throughout
Open
chapter
spaces.
7.
Control F,
to
open space.
Space.
Yeah, and then on that
References.
third paragraph there. What are they calling PR and O programs?
Okay.
A little ahead of themselves.
Okay, also on page 76, let's see, where's that? That map.
Did you see a
It's on
comment about the
76.
color of Sand Creek? They said it wasn't consistent with, somebody said it wasn't consistent with the legend.
Oh,
Oh, the color of the sand.
it has two colors. It's just the gradient they use on
Yeah,
the near shore versus.
it was intentionally done, but it might be.
I don't know if
I think
it
the near shore.
needs to be.
Yeah, the Sand Creek is not the community center as it might appear.
The senior center.
I don't know if we want to highlight the disc golf course as a recreational amenity.
We can't, I mean, it's owned by the utility, it's kind of a wink and a nod that we're letting, use it with a lease now, but it is in fact owned by the utility.
The reason I pointed out was we do have the watershed highlighted as a
Well, that's dual use.
open space, you know. So do not highlight the disc golf course.
Well, I
It's on by the utility.
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
real complicated, real quick.
Yeah. Okay, we'll take that out. All right, goal 1A on page 77. Currently says improve and expand trail and pathway connectivity to continually enhance community walkability and bikeability. Pam wanted to add with conservation in mind.
I had a question, what does that mean?
That's something somebody talked to me about. They were afraid that, especially down Sand Creek, that the animals would not be respected for area. That if we do everything to connect walking and biking, that it may not allow conservation with animals. I'm sure that's what she was saying.
Wildlife corridors.
Yes, thank you.
Mhm.
Wordsmith.
Well, that's something, yeah, we talk a lot about in the
Wildlife
trail world
corridor.
is.
Yeah,
for
'cause it's
preserving and protecting
important.
Wildlife
Yeah.
corridors, yeah.
so you want to change that to wildlife corridors?
At least it's more specific.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think conservation is a little
Okay.
general
Okay,
while
I like that one
preserving
better, actually.
wildlife corridors,
That's why I like
Well,
doing it in a corridor.
Much as possible.
considering
Nice.
impacts.
while balancing, yeah. I think that might be good, considering impacts on wildlife corridors.
Okay,
All right, goal 1C currently says explore additional land acquisition for new parks near newer underserved neighborhoods.
that's me. I wanted to pass a park.
Including passive parks.
What is a passive park, just since I'm.
It's just a green space that you
Best
can
thing,
just sit,
costs almost no money to maintain,
just lay in the grass. You can just look at the sky,
contemplate life.
just read a book.
Think about
We don't have a whole lot
children.
We'll lay down in somebody's yard then.
of, no, thank you.
Well,
It's easy.
I think it's a worthy goal.
Yes.
Okay, goal 1E revised to, let's see, it currently says cultivate partnerships to support additional recreational facilities and amenities. It says that are equitably distributed across Sandpoint to benefit all residents.
And that was a public comment also.
Mhm. That's another, I think it's a worthy objective.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we don't invest all of our parks resources in the downtown area versus we've got, 400 new residents north of
With no.
Woodland with no
right.
parks, so
with
we
no
could be,
parks or recreation, yeah.
In fact, our parks, that is one of the objectives highlighted in our parks master plan. It looked at population density in different parts of town and showed what neighborhoods are underserved for parks.
Right.
So one of the objectives in our parks master plan is to
I remember
equitably
that.
serve different parts of town based on where population's growing and
Yeah,
so
with all
that,
the new development. They're gonna-
okay, goal 1 currently says increase public access to the community shorelines, including existing rights of way. Proposal is to increase, enhance, and protect public access to open spaces and the community shorelines, including existing rights of way. So the addition is enhance and protect and open spaces to open spaces and shorelines. This reminds me of the Camp Bay discussion.
So, that's still being discussed.
Yeah.
I could have put in, I told you something.
Challenges they faced in the county. Believe,
What is the language enhance and protect? What's the intent of that above?
Because just increasing it doesn't make it, doesn't protect it, actually. I mean, you could just fill in, have too much going on. Protecting public access.
But if you take something away and our goal is to increase, then by definition, you have to find a replacement, right?
Well, there's like, I'm not sure exactly what this is, but like public access to the end of roads that hit at the lake, that's supposed public access. And some of it is really hard to get to. Like, I think at the end of someplace.
Euclid.
Yes,
Mhm.
trying to cross country ski down there on the river.
Yeah.
It was really dangerous to get down there.
There have been, I mean, in defense of this language, there have been, in some cases, private property owners who are adjacent to public rights of way that access the shoreline have taken like landscaping measures to make it look like it's their private property.
Right.
So we can't allow that.
No.
Those are
So
public.
that protects
Yeah.
it. So protect would do that.
But I'd also say, I mean, I live right close to there. So in the winter, when you're skiing on that property, you're actually crossing private.
We're not skiing because you can't. You have to carry your skis
Well, no,
across
once you're down on the flat.
the river. I'm not gonna argue.
No, I'm just,
Okay,
I think it's important to note,
it's
because
high water.
it is private
No, it's
property. It has a right then to protect that, to say, please do not trespass,
yes.
then cops are getting called, then, then they can create
Well,
issues.
then
I'd be curious how this would flesh out.
What good is access? And that's in code or something. What's good is access if you can't? If then again, you're on.
I
private.
agree with you, that's what creates the legal issue.
Yeah.
How do you handle such a case?
And there's,
Mr. Mayor,
and there's two different levels. I mean, when the water's up,
Mr. Either,
water's up, yes, then you have access to. It's down.
I don't live by there, so I'm curious.
I mean, the language, frankly, I think it's a little bit pedantic.
Okay.
I think that it more or less says the same thing, whether it's increase, enhance, and protect. I think enhance and protect is more robust. So I don't think it changes the meaning significantly. It does a little bit.
Increase, enhance, and protect. Is that where we're landing on right now?
So it sounds like.
Well, protect
Because we're-
could potentially open us up to like having to rip wrap. Best.
I think that, well, it says protect access.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
access.
just the
Right.
access to.
Thank you.
And I know what you're saying, Rick, because Euclid in particular, the public right of way goes out into the water, but then you immediately cross onto private land just to get out to the middle of the water.
Right.
Because as we know, 50 years ago, those were cow fields out there
Mhm.
for several months out of the year.
Struggling to know what you guys are talking about here.
Actually, later.
Oh, a bunch of the streets dead end,
Yeah.
but actual lake. Property that is covered by the lake in the summer is probably
Yeah.
not all.
So in theory,
Oh,
you
yeah,
could
yeah,
carry
I've got the map
a stand-up
right.
paddleboard to the end
All
of
the
Euclid and launch it in the summer and not
Mhm.
trespass. But
Mhm.
you shouldn't, not that, I don't think the neighbors necessarily care, but if you were to go out there and walk or ski from the end of Euclid, you have to cross private property to get out to the public right of way in the middle of the lake.
Just walk.
Because the,
Encouraged land.
yeah. Mhm.
So somebody in theory wanted to, in the winter, they could have a pop-up fence.
Yep. private property signs.
A fence that's, well, I doubt they can because the Bureau of Reclamation and the Idaho Department of Lands would not allow such a structure in the middle
It's
of
a
the lake.
pop-up fence.
Yeah. Snow fence, but
Yeah.
I don't see this language as conflicting with that, though. I think that,
Neither.
No, that my only question was that the word protect there is what,
It's
to what
protecting the public's access.
extent, but to
Okay.
what extent
Mhm.
do we protect?
Mhm.
Do we call police? Do we? What does that word protect,
Litigate.
litigate, yeah, is a strong word that says there's action behind it.
Who are you gonna call?
Who are you gonna call?
Ghostbusters.
Yes.
So that's the only. That's my only concern with that. That is a word that could mean there is action. I love increase, I love enhance.
Okay,
I doubt that'll come up in a court case anytime in our lifetime.
What's his item?
Don't jinx us.
Can you live with it, Rick?
I can live with taking it out.
Okay.
Just move on.
So increase.
Compromise.
Okay, let's go on to one G. The only addition there was to, and I personally like this one, explore alternative uses for community open spaces such as plazas, community gardens, and dog parks.
Yep.
Okay, if that were,
What page is that? Sorry.
77.
spoiler alert, we're already doing that.
Is this not discriminatory towards cats?
Cat parks. The dogs would love to have cats in their park.
Rabbit.
Furry parks.
Okay, one H, revise to design and work toward a zero waste parks and recreation program. And then add by implementing recycling efforts. Maybe we should say exploring, because recycling efforts at parks and outdoor events. Exploring implementation of, or we
Supporting. You can put
Supporting?
exploring. Oh, I
Supporting.
like supporting better.
supporting is a good one, yeah.
Something that has to be done. So.
Yeah, it'd be. Cool. Okay, we're going on to the next chapter.
No.
Public facilities. I like the pace we're going, guys. I think we're on track to finish in half an hour.
Public comment, since we've got some.
There will be a
Well,
public,
it's
there will be a
already
public
been
hearing
set.
on this.
And
At
it's
the
supposed to be a
second July
public
meeting,
day.
hopefully.
Thank you. And I know Ellen knows, I told her that it wasn't an opportunity, as I read.
Okay, let's go into chapter 8, page 89. Goal 1.
Wait a minute.
Just on
skip.
this chapter. Can you just do a skim over and update it where appropriate that we've now initiated the wastewater design
I was
study?
gonna say. And somebody
I don't know here.
requested that to change.
So
Are you-
say that again.
I'm sorry.
Make sure that-
Just make sure we're referenced the wastewater plant. That we add whatever language, very minor wordsmithing that we have actually initiated the preliminary engineering report for replacement.
Is that page 83?
It's, yeah,
Okay. Because it says in the next 5 to
Yeah.
10 years, that's something that somebody. wanted to
Okay,
change.
I'll make sure that language is clarified.
And then there was something else, I'm sorry on that. Somebody was confused about on page 82. 1, 2, third paragraph, next to the last line. The placement of the word only. It's semantics, I suppose, but they said estimates for utility extensions under the tracks only would require. They think it should be would only require.
No, under the tracks only
Okay,
would require. It's not would only.
only.
Only going under the tracks would require. So the word's in the correct place. That's why I didn't
Okay.
suggest that.
Okay.
Because I reviewed it.
So I
and
shared
realized-
that.
Change it
you,
to
okay.
alone? Under the tracks alone
I think it
would require?
reads okay.
Okay,
I
all
mean,
right.
somebody
Didn't like it.
was confused by it.
Yeah, you were too, or was confused, yeah.
Okay,
There should be
goal
section J.
1F on page 89, explore and support use of renewable sources such as solar and wind. And other clean energies in local economic development efforts. That's what was suggested, just a little addition to
Jason, can I
that.
go back to 84? I'm sorry, stormwater management. We just referenced that the city will need to be compliant. Stormwater management, once we hit that census.
So page 84.
We'll need to address.
Yes, maybe we'll have less people.
Russia,
It's called a stormwater management system.
stormwater management, will need to be compliant with stormwater discharge, federal stormwater discharge regulation. Treatment.
All right. Are we okay with the addition of and other clean energies and local economic development efforts?
Good with that. I'm just curious why we singled out rooftop solar as opposed to any other type of solar.
I think for space, maybe. Because solar's become quite a thing with taking up land for it.
I see. Okay.
It does say,
open space turning into solar.
Explore
Yeah.
renewable energy sources such as rooftop solar. So it's not being singled out as much as identified as an example.
It's like down
Okay,
in
yeah, I'm okay with it.
Twin Falls, they're having a big fight over
Oh,
putting
really?
up a big solar field.
Interesting.
Goal 1I revised to continue to improve community stormwater management infrastructure, comma, educating the public on issues relating to stormwater management. There was some desire to do education.
Education goes a long way.
Good with that.
All right, goal 4, page 90. Goal 4, an addition of objective D, explore, okay, this, the goal here is the amount of solid waste generated in the city is reduced is the goal. And goal, objective D would add explore opportunities for waste reduction and transition to sustainable materials within city government.
The comment.
Exploring opportunities for a transition to sustainable materials.
Within city government.
I think it means like in our operations.
That's what they were
I
referring
think that could
to.
be better worded.
Yeah.
Okay. Lead
Within
by,
the city
Maybe
government
strike
operations,
within city government and just transition to sustainable materials, but
In city
Okay.
operations.
yes.
Yeah,
So that'd be
with
like.
what was the last?
within city operations instead of
Or,
within city government.
Okay.
Paper straws,
Yeah.
Yeah,
wrapping plastic.
No.
Farmed paper.
Okay, want to keep going,
Yep.
goal 4.
okay, no discussion.
A, revise to develop and support local markets for compost,
I think-
recycled materials and products.
And I think that should be composting, right? I think the
Composting.
language is wrong. Develop and support local markets for composting recycled materials.
Well, composting would be the action, whereas
Right.
compost is the result of
So then
composting. So
the-
you're
The language just,
supporting a market for the end result of
Right.
composting, which is compost.
right, but how do you support a local market for compost?
There's opportunities for public-private partnerships there.
I mean, I understand the
Lots of
concept,
cities
but in
are
the
partnering with
language,
organizations on composting programs.
and I love it.
I've had requests over the years from local restaurant owners who have
I love it.
desired.
Okay, if you think that's the right use of the word or
I
not,
think so.
okay,
For sure, City Beach Organics, like some cities.
Yeah, it's-
We deal with some things our way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's not really a
Yes.
local market.
Yes.
Yeah, but a lot of cities are rolling out markets for, where did I just read about one? that
Well,
they
in
have
Maine runs.
well, there's several cities that now have like Saturday, one in Idaho I was just reading about, has a Saturday or Sunday like compost market where all the gardeners come in.
that's what we need.
Yeah,
There's waste.
and
Oh,
they come in
more like an economic.
get compost.
Oh.
Yeah,
Yeah, either way.
Yeah.
It's beneficial both.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Doesn't sound like there's objection.
Nope.
okay, we are now
I just thought
on
it was,
goal 5E, let's see, so. Revise 2. It just adds the words climate-related hazards such as fire and flooding, train derailment, etc. So the proposal was to just clarify that fire and flooding can be considered climate-related hazards. Which they,
and
I
it's
think unquestionably
beginning-
are
yeah,
climate-related
beginning to
hazards.
be. And I had one other, I had asked you to put in, and I don't know where it should go, but
Mhm.
that climatetoolbox.org.
Well, we're not really hyperlinking to external resources in our
Okay,
comp plan. That's
the
why
only-
I didn't include a.
The only
external
thing
hyperlink.
about that is it has climate projections, temperature projections, rainfall projections for the nation. And when I tried in the very beginning to get one of the first chapters to get a map of a projections of what's coming, because we project population, you said there perhaps was a place elsewhere to put it. I just don't know where
Yeah.
I think we need to be aware of what they are predicting.
That would go under sort of the setting, the sort of, the overview, so pages 2 through.
And somebody didn't like it. I think you,
Well, yeah, I had issue with that because I remember growing up being like, hey, we're going to an ice age. What they're predicting.
right?
I get to high school and then it's like, oh, global warming. And then I get out of high school.
Right.
Now it's
The
just purely climate
rainforest,
change.
the hole in the
So
ozone.
I'm still confused.
But there are-
It's like every 10 years.
I'm just saying, that's.
Yeah, I know.
I could go to that link
Use the
and then
farmer's
either that
almanac.
website's gone. or Just.
Well, that was that's what, this is a 20-year comp plan.
Yeah.
Is 16 years from now, that link's still gonna be active? You know,
Yeah,
I think on page 11, if you
it's
wanted
gonna be
it,
probably true
you
too.
do have, wind speed.
Okay, I
average
can
snow,
let it go. I
You
know
might be
it's
living on Mars, but
not I.
if Elon Musk has anything to do with it.
Okay,
He'll be living on. The rest of us.
He
will
actually has
still be
I
here.
think it's important,
Yeah.
but I can let it go. I mean, we've got
you
average
want a link?
precipient
You want a link?
to something that if somebody wants to see what is projected, we've got average precipient temperatures now.
9 through 11, Pam, I think if there's a legitimate ask from NOAA. or from
They're up.
scientific body,
Yeah. I mean, these are
if you
US,
Wanted to,
that's where I tried at one point and,
well, just
and
listen.
okay, sorry.
You want to insert that. To bring it even at the hearing, or
Okay,
we could all agree that that could be inserted with some language saying. The above forecast predicts increase. Hot days.
I mean,
reduced
look at how our
rainfall.
wind has already increased in the past 5 years. I mean,
Yeah, we're
things are
not here
happening.
to, not here to, I'm not
Okay,
here to debate that.
I'm gone,
just saying,
I'm done.
if you want to put it in, there's a pathway to do that.
We
Okay,
can talk about it, Pam.
Okay,
If there's
that's fine.
specific charts you think should go in, let's
Okay.
talk about that.
okay, thanks. We'll
Um,
move on.
Yeah, let's try to get through the
Yep.
last couple chapters
Okay.
here. So, the only suggestion there was add the words climate related hazards. Goal 8A. Page 92. Currently says continuing to improve governmental outreach to and engagement with citizens and businesses. The suggestion was to add the words through such means as public surveys, town halls and workshops. Sounds good.
Yep.
Okay, chapter 9, jobs and economic development. Let's go to page 20B. Yeah, we might need to get rid of this to the green box situation and possible options for all the utility property. No, maybe we're not gonna do that.
Yeah.
Let's strike that out.
Wait, what's wrong with that?
We discussed it earlier,
City.
yeah,
What it says, possible options, mixed use redevelopment. Why are we listing any possible options?
That's a good
if
point.
We can't do anything with it.
Zach,
Sorry.
get off your phone, buddy.
It does appropriately identify it as utility.
Right,
Yeah, so the suggestion is to add the language on that upper left-hand box there about the Baldy utility property as a possible option, city park or open space. We do identify mixed-use
I mean,
development as a possible
So
option.
Yeah.
it's a possible option.
Yeah.
But would be Herculean. That's my thought on it. So I mean, we can add it as a possible option, but whether it's a
Herculean.
practical option.
To make it park space?
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Even if the city bought it.
I think we
Paid
could
that.
buy it.
Yeah,
I
so
mean,
you
it
could
would
buy
just
Sure, and that, I guess,
make the utility whole.
so it's a possible.
Yeah, and I think.
I mean,
there's
that's
a lot of
been the
support
most
in the-
discussed
Yeah.
option.
Yeah.
Right.
There's a lot of support in the community
Golf,
for that.
disc golf course,
For what?
keeping that as
Open
open space
space.
for the city.
Oh, if they said developing, I'm like, I don't remember.
I mean, this,
Oh, but that's in-
no, but
Oh,
another
yeah.
possible option identified here is mixed-use development.
And open space would be like the mixed use development.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, let's leave it.
Okay.
Really advocate for that.
For the green box for the city parking lot, that's over here now, city parking lot. Remove the second bullet point under possible. Yeah, so we want to remove the possibility of structured parking.
Yeah.
And private development there,
It's,
which a few months ago was very much a key priority for the city.
Can I ask a question here real quick? Those brownfield sites, is that something that could possibly be like a more out of town parking? where you had park and rides and I don't know if that's something to put in as possible. If they can't be used for
Yeah,
other
especially
things.
if that connection to Highway 2 gets put in right there.
From Joslyn side.
Be a pretty good
It's a
use
good
of
use
a,
of that site,
so you can use it for.
I know, you
I'm
can't-
just not really.
Can't use it for
familiar.
residences.
right? You
No.
can't put people on it.
Not gonna put parks there.
No,
Well, it can be used, the challenge, I mean, we were given a whole presentation on this a year or so ago. The challenge with residences, like people sleeping and living there,
sure.
but you can do other things. There's actually a list of things you can do by like federal law.
You can work there.
Yeah, you can have industrial, commercial, you just can't have people living there. You might even be able to put a school there, which is kind of scary, but
No, that's.
schools are not allowed. Okay,
No, that would be horrible.
but a park, it could be used as a park. By the time the remediation is done, it's supposed to be safe enough to use as a
Be
park.
easier to make it parking lot.
Okay,
Okay,
We want green space, Pam.
what's that?
So we want green space. Which one
okay,
do you
let's go
want?
to page
Brown
one oh
space.
five.
Brown
So everybody's okay removing reference to
No, no,
structured
no.
parking at
I didn't,
Parking
I
lot.
didn't hear any objection.
Okay.
I mean, it doesn't mean we can't do it if there's an opportunity.
No, I think it's a good one.
goal one on let's see, goal one under, sorry, we're on page 105. The proposal is to add a G. So the goal here is a vibrant, diverse and resilient year-round economy in Sandpoint is cultivated, and G would balance. I think
That's supposed to be diversified.
diversified, balanced and diversified local economy while maintaining environmental compatibility.
I had a question. I just didn't know what environmental compatibility meant. Be a little more specific,
And that was a public,
okay?
one of the public requests.
All that out in the green up there, a vibrant, diverse. What is different than with this addition than what's there? Diverse, what would you call
Yeah,
it?
diverse is diversifying the local.
So who does the balancing and diversifying?
Well, the city could lead efforts to do that.
Huh.
By putting money into
Yeah.
traction,
Local
job
economy.
development. We could,
Yeah. Not
but
much.
we're talking about G, right? Add G.
Adding a goal G. That just
Basically
out.
just goes the goal one, but then adds while maintaining environment.
So duplicates A of that, maintain a diversity.
I just don't know what environmental compatibility means. I think
Find out
that
who
could be
wrote that.
interpreted so many different ways.
Yeah, it's a little bit.
And
Okay.
the fact that other than that, it's just redundant, I think that.
Okay,
Is there something we could add to A to the spirit of that?
Oh boy, what did I just do?
I mean, just coming from a conversation about Brownsfield, perhaps they're saying, let's not sacrifice.
But aren't there other sections of this that are more, I mean, specifically focused on environmental?
There are, this
Do we
specific
need
goals
to add
around
environmental
economic
on
diversity.
every
Yeah,
Sure,
Line, I don't think you do.
yeah.
E, I think it would be important for E though to insert light industrial. This gets into interpretations, but industrial could be interpreted as smelting.
We have, well, previous edits
that light-
replace industrial with light industrial. So if we're gonna do that across the document, we should probably do it here.
which as you mentioned, that would be not taking into consideration environmental compatibility.
Right,
So I'm thinking that's what's meant by that. You don't want industry just for the sake of industry. Certainly don't.
Okay. Right, goal one, another addition here, H, encourage appropriate businesses to locate in neighborhood mixed use zones to minimize the distance traveled for everyday goods, services and employment.
it's kind of like the 5-minute or 15-minute city. And
Let's gonna make
I
it.
think that's good.
Yeah.
Oh, don't say that.
Yeah, don't say that a lot. You'll have that walk.
Just set it on.
Oh,
Nobody listens to these ones.
You have to take 15 minutes city if you're
Oh,
watching.
shit.
All right,
Is there a conspiracy behind that?
Oh, yeah.
yeah, oh, yeah, oh, yeah, oh, yeah, go to a county commission meeting.
Oh.
All right, Goal 5B, revise, cultivate and activate a vibrant street life with outdoor seating, comfortable sidewalks, pedestrian crossings, convenient bicycle parking and transit, promoting Sandpoint as a true walking town. Seems okay to everybody. It's goal 5. I just forgot to scroll down to goal 5. Okay, if we're okay with that, then we can move on to chapter 10. There were no recommendations in that. That was actually just adopted in 2020.
So does that mean you?
Yeah,
cannot bike?
There were some, but I reviewed them and I didn't see how, I'm sorry, can you remind us what they were?
I had one for, the wetland area there for the water.
Around the airport.
Pollutants, yeah, along the airport stretch there, there's not a wetland that's in the registry, but
Right.
there is water and plants in there.
Yeah.
And I just think about, oil and gas things, the same things that cars do. And when the runoff from the
One of the
concrete,
reasons it's not in the registry, besides it being disconnected, it's been also bastardized by the development out there. That Great Northern Road project
it's
will
gonna take it away.
will improve the drainage out there to a historical flow that.
Okay, I guess my concern was just, the hazards of pollution from the aircraft.
Yeah, we don't have any regulations. That's federal
Okay.
and state typically, DEQ and EPA. We don't have anything that we
No
could
control.
write a ticket for or litigate.
Can I suggest my edit,
Sure.
which is monitor pollution, contamination, and health hazards generated by airport activities. And the reason I suggested that is that there's two really important ones that are coming to light. One is PFAS, which is a
Yep.
water contaminant that's extremely difficult to get rid of. And many cities are finding that the source of their PFAS contamination is the airport. I'm not alleging that our airport is contaminating us, but I think it's worth monitoring. Another one is ultrafine particles in our air. Currently, we monitor for PM5 and PM 2.5, which you'll see spikes
We don't.
during wildfire.
We
Well,
don't.
we don't.
So
but-
this is about us.
Right, but ultrafine particles that are smaller than that have been shown to have health hazards for people who live nearby the airport, and we do have people living nearby an airport. Particularly pregnant women have seen a significant increase in preterm deliveries.
Mhm.
So I think it's worth putting in the comp plan that we need to be aware of pollution and contamination and other health hazards.
It's just monitoring, and I think that's a
Yeah,
good idea.
well, I'm not saying we're writing tickets,
It's a good
just
idea.
monitor.
Yeah, monitoring.
There is a
Sounds
lot
like-
of federal money available for PFAS.
Is there a different monitoring makes me feel like we're gonna have to spend money and we're committing to actually setting up who knows what? Is there a better word that would still accomplish your goal?
Is promoting, we have
Maintain
to do it.
awareness, I don't know,
I think maintaining awareness is gonna cut it, but
um,
I'm open to rephrasing it.
yeah, monitoring to me says like, we're gonna go spend $1 million install monitoring. And hire staff to monitor. That we have a.
Well, again, there is federal money being
Yeah.
allocated for that exact purpose right now.
How about,
And having it in our comp plan could make us eligible for that money.
Explore opportunities for. Monitoring.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think you guys want the same thing.
Yeah.
That's the wording,
You don't wanna,
Pay for it.
Right.
Say it.
and that opens us for grants.
Okay.
Thank you. That's why I like to do it
You
together.
had 6 minutes.
All right.
Okay, I'm pretty close to done.
Let's go to page 121. Natural resources.
What's that, Douglas fir and White Pine?
Yeah, I think those were kind of actually typos. Oh, yeah, what, it was true. Someone said, they identified the wrong tree species in there, so we corrected that. All right, let's go to page 126. Yes, sir. Is that you? Nice catch, John. See, we're listening to the people, the people who know their tree species. I make that mistake all the time. Okay, all right, page 126, goal 1A. John came here tonight just to make sure we got Douglas fir hyphenated, by the way. Goal 1A, revise natural areas within the area of city impact within city limits and on city-owned property. So 1A, facilitate the protection of important natural areas within city limits and on city-owned property to maintain in perpetuity. You okay with that?
Yep.
Okay. Goal 1F, goal 4. Goal 4F, revise to educate and inform residents of how to mitigate climate-induced impacts from wildfires, winter storms, etc. So another climate reference.
What's the difference? I mean, if there's a fire, climate induced or otherwise, isn't our goal to educate people regardless of whether induced or not?
And I would also say the word climate or the hyphenated word climate induced impacts. I think what the author is wanting to say climate changed. I mean,
We cannot use
everything
climate
is
change.
climate.
But do we care what the source of it is, whether it
The
was climate
mitigation of it.
induced or
Yeah.
somebody lit up, having a campfire? What we want to do is educate the public on, hey, remove brush around your property, those sorts of things. Do we care whether it's climate induced or human induced or
Yeah, I think it's
Mother
too
Nature
narrow.
induced?
Yeah, I think it would be too narrow.
Yeah.
Reading it as climate. Just,
We're only going to educate people on.
I think the
You
goal,
okay with that, man?
I am, that
Just
was,
keeping it a little bit more
that was
general.
from
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
somebody.
the author probably wanted it climate changed.
Maybe she
I'm
did,
just,
but
I don't want to read too much into it.
quite like the way
But
it's worded
yeah,
either.
if we're educating, let's educate on where it occurs.
okay, we're almost done, guys.
Yep.
Same goal, H, a proposed addition of H, collaborate with Warner County to develop a county-wide disaster preparedness plan that addresses community needs.
did you fix the typo on that?
Yeah. I just did.
I love that and I'm already working on it just for your.
Okay, everybody okay with that then?
Yep.
All right, we gotta look at the implementation table. There were a couple conflicting recommendations here. There was a recommendation on the first page of the implementation table. Let's go, we gotta open an appendix for this. Here it is. Okay, so, rows 2 and 3 from the first page. Row 2 is around create a downtown waterfront vision. And the summary is to incorporate the results of the downtown waterfront competition into the comprehensive plan. The proposal is to remove that row entirely. In other words, incorporate the results of the downtown waterfront competition into the
Yeah.
comprehensive plan.
I think at the best I could support and that. Explore opportunities to.
So that brings us to row 3, because row 3 is also about implementation of the downtown waterfront design report. And that language was implement the downtown waterfront vision, and I gotta admit, like, this is pretty poorly worded here. Implement the projects and code updates necessary to implement the downtown waterfront vision. Okay, two verbs, same verb. So one proposal was just to remove that entirely, but we also, and Deb agreed with this one, just for the record, she was not here. The alternate is to implement selected recommendations and code updates from the downtown design report around downtown design guidelines, arts and culture programming recommendations, and ecological policy recommendations. So it's kind of
Keyword.
narrowing it to like
Keyword select.
pick things that we
Yeah,
like
select,
about it
Yes.
and implement those.
Can you live with that?
Can you live with it being gone?
Yeah, if we can, sure, because we can still, and I said that.
I mean, if
when
we ever had to use it as a grant leverage, if we did want to implement any of it, we can still reflect to the study. It doesn't have to be in our comp plan. We can still be
Yeah.
like, look, we did a recommendation study.
Right,
So we can still apply it even if it's not a comp plan.
and we can still update the codes. I think that is the most popular thing that people
that's-
want done immediately is
needs to be
updating the
done.
codes, right? We can still do that even if it's not in the implementation table.
And that's what we discussed, but I thought you were thinking, if it's a plan,
It's not a plan though, it's a report.
right?
So-
I know, to make it a plan. And like I said, I made sure selected got in that. Talked about it,
Mhm.
but I'm with you that if we take it out, we can still take parts of it.
Yeah.
Any opinions over
yeah,
here,
you
Justin,
guys-
Joel? Do we want to remove all reference from the design report from the comp plan, or do we want
It
to
doesn't-
keep some language in there about implementing selected recommendations and code updates from the design report?
Selected implementation.
As long as it's not gonna affect us, as long as we can still utilize it to our benefit, sure.
So you're saying you're. okay
Deb
with saying
prefers the recommendation to leave selected projects in. She says building heights and massing have not been fully vetted, and this would give us a start and an opportunity to bring this in front of the public. For further discussion, as council has to approve these changes. We need to make these changes reflecting the needs and desires of the community. The current 65 feet is not beloved by the community.
Right.
So just to remind you, the design report recommended,
I agree with a lot
Recommended
in that.
Yeah.
The height.
65,
no, the design report had recommendations
45.
for code amendments that would
right,
lower the reduced.
yeah, that's what-
Yeah, I don't disagree with any of
That's not-
that. I'm just saying, does it need to be in the implementation table for us to do that?
I mean, the implementation could just be review and revise land use zoning code.
Yeah.
Okay.
In accordance with the comp plan goals and objectives.
So you guys are okay with removing any reference to the design report?
Yeah, as long as we can still go back to it and use it.
Yeah.
We're gonna use
we
it.
can always
It's
go back.
already come out in front of the public.
Yeah.
In terms of the height and the code.
Yeah, we can always.
Okay.
reference it.
Okay.
There was a suggestion to remove reference to the housing authority. Develop and implement a workforce housing strategy and priority plan, including a regional housing authority, so we deleted that. Okay with that?
Yep.
Row 2, revise the summary, amend multimodal transportation plan to incorporate additional public input. That was Kyle's suggestion. The current language is implement projects and programs identified in the multimodal transportation plan as funding allows. So Kyle suggested changing that to amend the multimodal transportation plan to incorporate additional public input. You okay?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Row 3, page 2, revise the summary. The current language is update Title 10 and the urban area transportation plan to ensure standards provide sufficient space for sidewalks, street trees, and snow storage. The proposal is update Title 10 and the UATP to ensure to ensure standards minimize lane widths, provide sufficient space for sidewalks, streets, trees, and snow storage.
I think there's a comma missing. It should be ensure standards, comma, minimize lane widths
Gotcha.
and provide.
Are we okay with that? Yeah. God, we're so close.
Keep going.
Remove row 9 entirely. Row 9 says implement the site-specific, Deb had a comment on this one. I should read it. Site-specific master plans for City Beach, downtown waterfront, Travis Park, and the Little Sand Creek Watershed Recreation Master Plan. Deb says, disagree. We need an alternate wording here. We can't just completely remove our ability to implement. I mean, these are like our guiding documents for the city of Sandpoint. So removing reference to them in the comp plan seems a little,
I also want to point out that if we're removing reference to these documents in the comp plan, we might be flirting with material change.
yeah, I would say so. It's saying, let's not implement our master plans for downtown, for Travis Park, for the Little Sand Creek watershed.
I think when the downtown waterfront was accepted, it was debated pretty heavily on whether that was a master plan or just a report that was being accepted.
I think that might be referring to what's adopted in the parks master plan. Because there is a downtown, I mean, could we kind of go back to the idea of like review
Specific.
and revise adopted master plans for parks, downtown, Little Sand Creek watershed as necessary before implementing?
Yeah.
See, I mean, it is like, these are living documents.
Right.
Right.
We literally invested like years and years developing these master plans just to throw them out now, like they need to be.
Just pieces. We take
So
pieces.
I'm just gonna take a note here.
Okay, nobody's gonna like the
Review and
next.
revise where
Melissa, you're giving me the look.
Fine.
we got
Okay.
four more.
Yeah, okay, educate the
I know this one is, I know it is banned, it is, the legislator is not making it possible. However, I know that we came close at one point to getting businesses to want to do this. And Fred Meyer in southern Idaho is banning plastic bags, so it can be done without doing an ordinance. It can be, businesses can decide they would like to do this, and I don't know
They can
how.
do that right now.
Yeah, they'd have to
Yeah.
do that right
Because
now.
I'm not gonna listen.
Yeah, there's quite a controversy that if you go to other, get rid of plastic bags, there's something even worse.
Yeah, who's gonna enforce that?
What's worse? Stick back.
Well, than a permanent plastic.
Yeah, I got styrofoam on there all
Yeah,
the
no,
time.
no, I'm just- but, yeah.
Okay, they're ecologically horrible,
There's a lot
environmentally.
of things that are. but-
Yeah, the legal
But this is
barriers kind of
something-
make me
okay.
wanna shy away from this one.
Yeah.
So
I'm gonna
strike
take it
it.
to Lana Rubel.
Okay.
Do it in the district down in Boise legislature.
Yeah.
She's tried before.
Okay, we got
I-
a couple more.
Thanks.
Row 5 on page 3, revise to revisit and refine public engagement to detail the various methods of engagement to be used for different projects or processes. And then it adds the suggestions to add, create a community involvement best practices policy.
And that was one of those comments by, I can't remember what her name is, but these are good. And I gave an idea.
Good with
of
it?
one.
You think about that, Mr. Mayor?
I think it's not one size fits all. I would hate to not be able to make a decision that needs to be made because I haven't implemented the community involvement best practice. I mean, it'd be my intent, and I hope every elected official's intent to, have best practices, but wouldn't want.
Well, this is just creating a policy, not.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
We should have, I think.
The
we
policy
should have
could
a
say
good policy.
it's not one size fit all.
Right.
Okay, at the then?
Well, in fact, doesn't this, the first part of that, without the addition already say that?
It's just having a defined policy rather than,
Well, but it says
Willy-nilly.
public engagement to detail. What is that word detail mean? In fact,
I see your point.
it's gotta be a plan, right? I think you're being very redundant in adding it again.
It does say detail the various methods, yeah.
So, yeah, I don't think it's necessary. You've already got the word detail. All you're doing is saying, I want it, in this case, detail means a policy,
I just want a specific policy that I can point to and say, this is how we do that.
but I'm with Jeremy.
To
There may
improve
be
it.
other ways to do that too.
To improve public engagement.
I mean, yeah, improve is great.
Okay,
I don't object or support.
Revisit,
neutral on
refine,
it, but
improve.
I think the existing statement would get us there.
That hasn't.
okay.
Move entirely.
Remove entirely, construct a parking structure as part of a public-private partnership.
Yeah, I mean, it may be an opportunity if there's a tremendous,
Should it be on our implementation table though?
no.
Doesn't need to be.
And we already
Okay,
took it off.
There is a row 9, replace I'm sorry, I didn't take a note of what the existing objective is. It says explore options for paid parking at City Beach and downtown parking lot. I think we're planning to do that, right?
Yep.
Okay, and then finally, last one,
Yep.
Melissa, row 8, revise to reduce light pollution. Review Title 8, Chapter 4 for possible updates to improve dark sky compliance, and then it replaces the existing language with enforce existing ordinances by requiring new homes developments to follow lighting code.
Because it is already a code and if
So we
like
don't
in the
need, we don't need the
permit,
comp plan to tell us to enforce a code. as a
but we're not
council member.
enforcing it.
Any council meeting, you just stand up there during matters from the council and say, I want our code enforced there.
Really? And you're
Yes.
gonna listen to what I had to say.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm gonna start doing that with dog walking and
Yeah.
trailer parked on this road.
Yeah.
A lot of trailers parked on the road right now. Okay, so
I think it would be nice to have it part of a building inspection
I think we
afterwards. part
don't
of the
need
permit.
comp plan to enforce.
Yeah, the comp, that's my only thing, and comp plan
Okay.
isn't the place where we tell ourselves to
Okay.
enforce anything.
Okay.
Guys, high five, positive five. We'll adjourn this meeting. This is gonna come to a public hearing on July 17th, I think we're aiming for. That's our goal. Yeah. and we'll have a- we'll have a-
Zoom.
Sorry,
Watch my
Melissa, I'm
kids.
so sorry, we're 9 minutes over.
You did.